This week on our Tuesday Night Live, we did something a little bit different and actually brought our viewers into our broadcast, which was extremely exciting. Also, very interesting to hear their viewpoints and how emotional the past 2 years has really been for some of you.
It was also very nerve-wracking for me, Melissa, because we didn't know what to expect. We just literally posted the link for our live stream and we brought people into the room. We didn't prepare them. We didn't find out what they were going to ask. We didn't know what they were going to say, and it was kind of cool. And we also had a viewer from India. I have absolutely no idea how he got that link, but it was kind of cool. So we're going around the world with our podcast. But yeah, so we never get to answer all of the questions. Melissa, I think there was 931, something like that, comments and questions that were populated by our audience in just about 2 hours. So hopefully we'll get to answer some of those questions right now.
Yes, absolutely. And that may have been the most we've ever had at all times. So you guys, we're really grateful and thankful for you asking them. And we're going to dive in, just as Todd said. We had Leo Mendoza had a question. If you have to buy, is it better to put down a larger down payment to save on monthly payments? Todd, what are your words on that?
You know, I hear both sides of this, right? So, I had mentioned a conversation that I had with a mortgage lender. And in fact, after the stream, she kind of like roasted me, I guess, for what I was saying on the air, right, about our conversation. Many mortgage lenders, I have conversations, Melissa, certainly I could have conversations with mortgage lenders every single day. I mean, they're bombarding me with calls. Things are slow right now, and they're reaching out to brokerages and, agents, trying to drum up some new business. But as I'm talking with a lot of these loan officers, they're talking about or bragging about, and this is what, she kind of roasted me on, bragging about getting buyers into homes with little to no money down, right? So the risk obviously is not so much how much money you're putting down, because, that's up to you. If you are a good steward of your money and you are able to save and can watch your finances and not get yourself into financial trouble, then, obviously you want to try and leverage debt. A lot of times, if you can get debt inexpensively, then if you have a savings account, you could maybe take that money, and I'm not a financial advisor, but you can maybe take that money and have it work for you harder and make more than what you're paying out in a mortgage interest rate. But as mortgage interest rates start to increase, especially when we're getting around 7% or so or more, the question is, if you have the cash in the bank, are you making 7% return on your money on an annual basis? In my opinion, if the answer is no, you're better off putting your extra cash down on your home and saving that, making the interest instead of spending the interest. But that's not really the issue that we have here. The issue is, should people that don't have money in the bank even buy a home? Because as I'm talking to these loan officers and they're telling me, hey, I'm bragging now about, getting as many people as I can that are borderline bad credit, debt to income ratio, and little money in their bank account, getting them to buy a house may not be the best financially for them, because as we know, houses break, things go wrong with houses. People lose jobs if they don't have enough money in their emergency fund to pay bills for 5-6 months should something go wrong, or to make costly repairs to the home. Then they should hold off altogether. So the question is really not so much, should you put more money down on a house or not? It's, should you really be buying now or not?
Mm-hmm. But with the importance of having the money in reserves, in savings, we had a follow-up question that goes along the lines of this. We had Robin asking, should I use my savings to pay down more on my credit card balances?
Yeah, 100%. So again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a credit repair service or, a debt service. But I'm a consumer, right? I'm a business owner, I'm a consumer. And, if you have money in the bank, cash in the bank, and well, first of all, with a credit card, a lot of times as a revolving, debt, you can get cash advances on that should you need them, right? Be in an emergency situation, chances are you can get some emergency cash on your credit card. A very expensive way to do it. Hopefully, in that type of situation, you only need it for a very short period. But if you have, let's say, $10,000 in a bank account, and, that's kind of like your cushion, and you have a $10,000 credit card balance that you're paying 17% or 29% on, and you're making, barely, making a dent in that as month to month, you're not paying it off. You absolutely should take your money that is sitting in the bank and eliminate that expense and that debt. That expensive debt is costing you more money every single day. I mean, that makes your $4, $3.50 or 60-cent gallon of gas become $6 and $7, or more, depending on how long you're financing with these credit cards.
A lot of buyers now are really trying to time it correctly. Interest rates are a hot topic. We know they're on the rise. One of our viewers asked a question, Todd. I have sold my house, sitting on the equity, it's well over 20%. He's decided to rent for a short period of time. He wants to buy before rates go too high. What's your advice on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, this viewer sounds very smart. They probably took advantage of the peak of the market, sold their house. They have plenty of cash in the bank. They're renting, so they're taking advantage of, not paying for repairs and living on the landlord's dime, essentially, for, like I said, any repairs that could be necessary. And, it's a good question, right? When should you buy? I mean, obviously, you want to try and find what you're looking for first and foremost. If you have the money to buy and you're comfortable doing so, as we've always said on the show, real estate in the long term appreciates. So if we look at the chart over time, real estate, though prices do go up and down in interims, overall they do increase throughout the history of time. Will that ever change? I don't know. Who knows? But really, since World War II, we've seen a steady increase in home appreciation across the country. So it really comes down to, how long will you stay put in this next move? If you're buying a house that you are going to only be living in there for maybe less than 5 years, and I hear a lot of buyers say that. They're like, I want to buy now. It's not exactly what I want, but I'm only going to be there maybe 2 or 3 years, and so I'm just going to buy. I don't want to rent anymore. Well, this is a big mistake in many ways, right? Because a lot of people don't realize the cost of moving, getting reset up. You always spend more money when you move, especially into a bigger place. And that's typically what happens. You're in a 700 square foot apartment. You buy a 1,600 square foot house. They don't really think about now they're going to go out, they're going to buy furniture, they're going to do improvements to the house or need to. And then they're only going to be there for a couple of 3 years. And then when they go, if the market isn't back up at the top again, which it probably won't be in 3 years, the buyers are going to go through that house with a fine-tooth comb, and you're going to have to fix a whole lot of stuff just living in that house for 3 years. Plus, if the market does come down, which we've said it will, it has come down, but I don't think it's over yet. You're going to be in a situation where you might have to bring money to the table. But if you're going to be in a house for 7 to 9 years, or 10 years, or you're saying to yourself, I don't ever see myself moving, anytime in the near future. Life makes us change every now and then, but you have the expectations you're going to be there a while, and you can find what you want. You're probably okay to go ahead and buy it, right? Negotiate your best deal. If it checks your boxes, it's an area that you want to live in, you're satisfied with the neighbors to the left and the right of you, there's no pack of barking dogs that's going to keep you up all night long. It has the floor plan that fits with you, and you have the equity and the money to do it. If you can afford to do so, go ahead and try and find your deal. But again, the way I gauge it with my buyers right now is How long will you stay? Can you afford to make this happen? Or should you just continue renting or move back home with mom and dad? For some of the folks that we talk to, that's a better option. To answer the question, should someone buy now before interest rates go up? I think, and I was just looking at this. So as we look at the last 3 decades, right? 30 years, mortgage rates 30 years ago were somewhere in the 8% range. So if we're looking at 7% right now, basically what you're looking at is another point maybe that we might see interest rates go to get back to the higher rates that we had 30 years ago. So, is that possible? I think it is possible that we could see 8%. The question is, how much is that going to change the price of the house from where it is right now? And I'm not saying that we're not going to have harder times ahead, and we may not see some major price reductions in some markets. I think for the most part, we're probably going to see mortgage rates stay somewhere, around this 7 to 8% range, for quite some time.
A lot of our audience members have questions about new construction, this one in particular about the appraisal. Do builders renegotiate if under contract and the home does not appraise? Or does the builder's lender order the appraisal from someone they know who will appraise it for the contract price?
Melissa, I would certainly hope not. I don't think that appraisers are in anybody's pockets. There's a lot of laws that are in place now to protect consumers from something like that. That would be very predatory for a builder to just call an appraiser that'd give a arbitrary number for the builder's benefit. But I can tell you that regardless of whether you're dealing with a existing home sale or a new home sale, there are financing contingencies typically in place that protect the buyer, that should they not be able to get a loan or the mortgage to make the purchase, then they can get out of the contract. So, I'm not hearing scenarios personally right now about these new houses not appraising, but I think should that be the case where we're seeing, downward pricing trends, then I think that the builder will have to renegotiate the contract price or let the deal fall apart.
One of our viewers had a question about really the result of what's going to happen from the decisions made in 2020 and 2021. What will be the effect of the large amount of cash out refinancing in 2020 and 2021 and the mortgage adjustments from forbearance?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 different issues here, right? So maybe they're talking about what happens if someone's in mortgage forbearance or still struggling and the money wears out, runs out. What will happen? They'll be underwater. But if they, regardless of the fact, if they're losing their house to foreclosure, if that's what they're kind of getting at here, it is what it is, right? Chances are at that point, nothing's been fixed in the house for years, and it will become a distressed property that no matter what the balance is, it probably will be underwater. But I think the question here, as far as people pulling out their equity and refinancing, interest rates got down to 2.74%. Now that was for new purchases. That wasn't, I don't know of anybody that refied or refinanced for that low of a rate. Typically your refinance rates are higher than your new purchase rates or your your purchase contracts, the rates for purchase contracts. But in this situation, they were still refinancing in a lot of cases for less than 4%. So a lot of people took on this extra debt or extracted the equity from their home, and then they used it to do things like improve their home. Certainly that may be one of the reasons why inflation is as high as it is right now, because of the amount of extra cash that was in the marketplace to buy things. But I think, regardless, this question is probably just overall asking, as prices come down, equities coming down, there will be a lot of people, should they need to sell, that will be underwater. I think probably, if I had to guess, a large majority of the ones that purchased in the last 18 months are now underwater, unless they put a lot of money down. They're still underwater. They just may be over their, loan balance. But if they have to sell and after they pay real estate commissions, transfer fees, repairs, anything like that, a lot of these buyers recently are underwater. Okay, Melissa, one more because I have to get to a meeting.
Always the meeting. We've got a question here from Tony Brown. I see a couple of places accepting backup offers like they want a bidding war for more money. Go ahead, Todd.
Melissa, a lot of times, when you have backup offers, that is a direct result of high bidding or multiple offer situation. I mean, obviously, you can only have one buyer, one purchase contract, and you're hopeful that that goes through. But if the agent is kind of reading something or that there's some contingencies in place, maybe that buyer had a great offer, but they have another house they have to sell within 30 days in order to buy this one. You want to try and keep those backup offers on the shelf as long as possible should something fall through. All right, guys, that's it. I need to get to a meeting, but thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, you can let Melissa and I know that you did by hitting that thumbs up.
The comments and questions, guys, keep them coming. We love them so much, and we'll get to as many of them as we can.
We may just call you out on a show just like this. So, guys, don't keep this content to yourself. The share button's below, and if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button, smash that alert bell. You'll know every time we upload content just like this.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.